Hey guys, and welcome to this tutorial. We're going to be talking today about DMX and how it applies to our projects and how we can use intelligent lighting to make our scenes a lot more realistic and also a lot more prettier and more amazing, because lighting design can be fun, and when you're adding a big project like this, it can also destroy your computer. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first thing you need to do when you are creating a DMX, you're going to start doing DMX and you start doing intelligent lighting inside Unreal Engine. You want to go down to the left hand side here and add in a new folder called DMX. Next thing you want to do is go right click, and we're going to go to the DMX folder here, and we want to go add DMX control console, and we're just going to name this DMX control console because we don't really need more than one in any project. Then we go back into DMX again, and we had DMX library. DMX library, and we're going to name this training. I know I'm not using much pronunciation, but it's just for demonstration purposes. Now, there's two ways to do DMX in Unreal Engine. You can do it using the native DMX controls inside Unreal Engine, which can be good for if you're just doing something quick and if you're just doing stills. However, if you are going to get really more technical about it and you want to make a video and you want to do actual lighting, proper lighting design inside Unreal, and you're going to export this as a video, then it's highly recommended that you use a lighting program. Now, there's a couple options you can use. You can use pretty much any lighting console out there. However, your restrictions are actually going to be based on the console side. So if you're using Grandime 3, then you are going to be restricted by the amount of universes you can use, because Grandime on PC does not allow you to export or allow you to stream DMX universes over network. Basically, in layman's terms, you have to have the Grandime 3 hardware in order to run Grandime 3 in Unreal Engine. That is the plainest way to put it. There's no way around it. You have to have either the Grandime 3 Viz key, or you have to have one of the consoles actually there in the studio or in your bedroom or in your office, wherever you are on site. You have to have that connected to your computer and on the same network as the Unreal Engine in order for you to use Grandime 3 with the engine. However, we can get around this, and we can use other lighting consoles like Chamsys. Chamsys does not have the same restriction, and it's free. So you don't really have that barrier to entry there. So if you are new to this and you do want to use lighting in Unreal Engine without using a Grandime 3 console, Chamsys Magic Q is going to be your port of call for your lighting software. This is another step, and we'll go into this in a future tutorial on how to do all this. But for now, what we're going to do is focus on DMX inside using the Unreal Engine controller. The first thing you want to do is you want to go down to all and type in search, and you're going to just press two buttons, and that's BP. We're going to scroll down this here. There's going to be a lot of options, and we want to get the moving head. We don't want to drag this. We want to copy this. We want to copy this and paste it inside DMX. The reason why we do this is because we don't want to edit any part of the original blueprint that comes with Unreal Engine. I've done this before, and I've had to reinstall all of Unreal Engine to get this back again. But if you screw around with the original blueprints, they might not work again in the future. We want to do that again. So we got the moving head now, but we want to do that again for a few other things. And this time, to speed things up, I will copy all of them. So we don't really use a lot of moving mirrors anymore. The last big moving mirror sort of fixture was the MX-10, in my opinion. So that was like 10 years ago. So or over 10 years ago now. So we don't really use moving mirrors anymore. It's not really an industry thing. Static head, static strobe, static matrix, LED wash LED, and that should do us good. I don't think I'm missing any that I need. Okay, so what we do from here is we go again. We do the same thing. We go Control C, copy, go to DMX, click here, just click into the DMX here so that it will paste into this, and we go paste. Great, so we can now change all the settings and the sizes and whatever we need to of these blueprints if we need to. Most of the time you don't need to, but if you do, you have that option without screwing up Unreal Engine's original blueprints. So we've got these here now. The next thing we want to do is we want to go into DMX library training, or whatever you've used for your DMX library, whatever you called it. We want to go here and we've got to go fixture type. Now, there are two options to fixture type. You can create a fixture really basically from scratch. So say we can go moving head, and this can be really a representation of any moving head. We change this to moving head here so we know that's in that category. Add a mode here, so because every lighting fixture has different modes, but we're just going to call this basic. You can rename this to basic or extended, whatever the case may be. And we're now going to select a function for each DMX address. Now, I'm going to assume you know what DMX is and you know how the basics of how DMX lighting works. So I'm not going to go into that side of things. There's plenty of other YouTube tutorials goes into detail about what lighting DMX is. So I'm going to skip going over that. So I'm going to skip about what each channel means in DMX lighting world, because really, if you're at this stage already, you probably already know what all this means. You know, each channel corresponds to some sort of attribute or something that the fixture is supposed to do. So we got dimmer there, every single color, whatever. So we've got that, and you can create a fixture that particular way, which we will do. You can also create it using a GDTF. Now, you can get a GDTF online, and they will give you can search for basically whatever fixture you want, and they will give you the GDTF file source. And then you can add that into Unreal Engine, and then you can add that into the GDTF source, and it will automatically populate all of this. You can do that. However, it can be a bit iffy, and sometimes it doesn't work because Unreal is a little bit funny about it. So if you want to do something basic, then just do it this basic way. If you want to do something advanced and you're starting to use DMX consoles, like outside DMX consoles like GrandMA 3, Chamsys, Avalites, any of those sort of consoles, then you're going to need the GDTF file, because otherwise it won't communicate properly with the fixture patches inside the desk. So if you don't understand any of that, what I just said, don't worry. It means that none of that applies to you. We're just going to apply a basic DMX patch in here. So we're going to go dimmer, pan, tilt. Now we're going to add color. So it comes in right there. It's spelt the American way, unfortunately. And with this, it's really important to note that the moving head in Unreal by default works as a color wheel. It does not work in RGB, CMY, doesn't do color mixing by default. You can change this. I don't know how. I've never bothered to even learn how to do that, because for my purposes, I've never needed to change it to color mixing. If I need color mixing, then I will change it with the GDTF and then change it that way. But for the most part, I just use color mixing and changing the address value in the desk to do it as a color wheel, opposed to using it as a color mix. So color, gobo, and then the last thing we need to use is zoom, which is in here. Now, there are other options, of course, but I've found these are the most ones I use on a regular basis. Again, these are just to visualize. I'm not doing full lighting design in Unreal. I would not do that. I would use other programs and incorporate things like Carbon for Unreal and things like that. If you're interested in getting that sort of level of lighting design, then I will talk about that later. So this is just a basic patch. We've got everything we need to. We can change the data type from 8 to 16. I think it's got 24 as well. Yep, so we got 18, 16, and 24-bit. If you need to change that, again, when we're communicating with outside consoles, this is all gonna change. But if we're doing it as a basic patch, this is what you need. Then we're gonna go add fixture, and we're gonna start at universe 1, address 1. And we're going to do 4 patches. So we're going to have 4 separate fixtures. Add fixture patch. It'll automatically put them all in there, and they are ready to go. So we've got 4 moving heads. Now, what we want to do now is, as always, we want to save this, exit it. And the first thing we want to do is actually not add the fixture. We want to go edit up the top left-hand corner here. Go down to project settings. DMX, type in DMX, and you'll see here our input and output ports. This is super important when you're adding in another console, but you still need to add this if you are doing it in Unreal as well. So if you're keeping this all within on your programming within Unreal, you need to do this as well. So your output port is obviously one you need to put in. That's a definite. You can put an input port. Don't really need it, to be honest. But I always just add it anyway, just so it's there. And you'll see there, you have all your settings, your protocol type, whether you're doing ArtNet or SACN. Again, if you're doing this in Unreal Engine, none of this, you just need to add this port. One thing you should check though is that your local universe start is at 1. So if your local universe start is at another number, you need to change this to 1. It shouldn't. And also, if you've got a shitload of universes, then you need to change how many universes that you are outputting as well, so that Unreal Engine knows to output more universes. But by default, it's 10. And for the majority of projects that you will do, which isn't like Ultra Music Festival size stage, then it's just going to be 10. Great. Exit that. We've now got ArtNet running as on our computer, and it's running in Unreal. Next thing we need to do is we need to add in our fixtures. So we just add this in here. And by default, the fixture is actually quite small. But for our purposes, it's all we really need. And if we want, we can actually scale this up. It won't affect the quality of the light in terms of, you can see here, like it is moving in scale. But it doesn't really make much of a difference in terms of how bright the light is. There are different settings for how bright the light is and things like that. You're only adjusting the size of the model. I sometimes do this just so it's a little bit bigger and represents what is actually going to be on stage. So we've got one of those, and you'll notice here that it's already been added to the side here onto the outliner. We want to do here, because we're adding in a lot of DMX profiles, firstly get rid of any sort of other static message and put them into model so they're out of the way. We have just that BP moving head. We can then just go copy, paste, move that along, copy, paste, move that along, paste, move that along. And we suddenly have 4 fixtures. You can rename these to what you need to, but for now, we're just going to leave them as they are. Down the bottom here on the right-hand side, DMX library. We want to select DMX library, or the DMX library that we're using. Then we want to select which patch it is. So we've got that. Next, we want to do that for all of the patches. What I recommend doing is putting in all of your lighting in and selecting them all, and then selecting that so it's less clicking, and then hitting the fixture patch, and then coming along and then just changing the patches as so for all of your fixtures. Now, if I was getting really technical about it and had the time and really wanted to do it, then I'd change all these names so they matched up with the moving head name here to make it easier. Okay, so all of your fixtures are patched. We can now start controlling these. So we go into DMX control. We hit the DMX library that we want, and we have all of the fixtures here. Now, if you want to select all of these, you can select all, and you can change all of these at the same time. But we're not going to do that because it's a moving head and it'll look weird. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to select all of our moving heads here. So we highlight them. We go add all patches. And we have all of our patches in here. Now, because it's Unreal and this DMX controller is not particularly that great or intuitive, you can go show it there. You can run full, fixture queue stacks and things like that, but yeah, they're not great, and it's not good for grouping. So it's in short, it's pretty shit. And, it does not have the functionality of consoles and the easy access to create something quickly. So it requires you to really know DMX quite well. So if you're new to lighting, this will be tedious and boring. And if you're someone who's been in lighting for 10 plus years, then it's also going to be tedious and boring, because you're literally changing values one by one like this. And it hasn't had a way to group it yet. So, how do we get around this extremely tedious way of expressing what we want the fixture to do? One way to do it is actually in your addressing. So if you want to just put out a visualization which is not going to be the same as the show, so for instance, most shows will have all of the lights individually DMX addressed. In Unreal, instead of doing all of them individually, especially for large projects like this. So what I would do was I would do all of the lights for this side that are pointing outwards. So they're outwards on the truss, like these. See, all these are all pretty much hung all the same way. I would do the 2 different addresses for them and just go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, just so I can have alternating colors and do it that way, opposed to doing them individually. It just saves a monster amount of time doing it that way, opposed to trying to do them individually. And when we've done that, these lights will work. In order to make them work, of course, Unreal has one more step. It's right here on this play button, play DMX. Bam. You're going to see it's worked already because not only have they turned on, but they've returned home. And the home position is with the fixture's head pointing downwards, which is annoying because most of the time that's not the case. Home is, home. It's straight up. So we've got that ready to go there. We can zoom in. We're going to just control this guy on the end. And we've got our fixture working already, doing all sorts of funky stuff. He's just a cool lad doing his thing. And you can change the gobo. Gobos are pretty average in this, and that's it. What we want to do next, though, is maybe you want to change the beam in terms of the intensity and how that works. So right now, that should be pointing on a white surface. That absolutely gobo should be seen. We should be seeing that gobo in real life. You can see it right here in the front, but it's not really reaching there. So let's just change that color just so it's a good orange color. Again, as you can see, it's on a color wheel, so it doesn't make things easy. Because why make it easier? And what we want to do here is we want to go down to the bottom right hand corner here with the fixture selected. So that's our fixture selected now. You can see here where the light cone, the cone here doesn't really reach all the way. And we can change that though. We can change that so it hits that back wall. So what we want to change is the light distance max. And voila, the light distance has been changed. And we can change the intensity of our light, and holy moly, Jesus has come. And that is the way to change your intensity. Now, you don't really want to do that. You kind of want to keep it within the realism. That is for a daytime show. Like if this was in the day, that is bright as hell. So we obviously don't want something as bright as that because that's the type of light you would shine at a mountain. So we want something, relatively that looks like it would be right in the daytime setting. Of course, if you're finding that beam here, that looks like it's going through quite a bit of haze, that's maybe the desired look. You can also change that as well down the bottom right-hand side here, and you can change spotlight intensity and change all of these settings so that it doesn't come up. So if you change the light intensity again and increase the spotlight, you can sort of just fiddle around with those settings there to get a better, so that you get a better beam and you have a less of a beam. You can change more of this, however, that's more advanced stuff than what I feel like most people are going to be at because Unreal is a very complicated project. And that's how you basically set up lighting in Unreal Engine 5. It's pretty straightforward when you've got the general gist of it. So the next question you might be asking in your journey is, how do I put in realistic fixtures into Unreal Engine? I want to use the same gobos as, the same lights that I'm using and all of this stuff. As of the recording of this video, the only way to really bring in realistic fixtures into Unreal is by buying Carbon for Unreal, which is a plugin, third-party plugin. It's $2,000 a year last time I looked, and it's an exceptionally expensive program. I've never used it myself because I can't justify paying for it. That sort of price, I can buy Depends, or I could buy another number of other visualization programs for me for life, because the Carbon for Unreal was $2,000 a year just to use models, and I can't justify that price or recommend it, but it is an option. If you want to have realistic fixtures in Unreal, that is an option for you. I have seen people try and make their own fixtures for Unreal, and it is extremely difficult to do, and it is not user-friendly yet. As of this particular version of Unreal, basically Epic Studios has not really made it very friendly for creating your own lighting fixtures, so we're kind of stuck with these for now. So we've just done moving heads, then we can also do statics, and that's just a basic Parkan over there. And you basically go through the same steps as we went through before with the DMX library. We basically just open this up, we add a new fixture type, we go through all of that process again for a Parkan. So Parkans will usually have 4 values, dim, RGB, or you can just try and do RGB. It's been a while since I've done statics Parkan, so I can't remember which one works, but you'll figure it out in literally 2 seconds. And then you've also got wash LED, which is exactly the same as moving head LED, except it doesn't have gobos, and it's color wheel. So you can use RGB. So instead of using color, it's RGB for that one. And then you got static strobe, and that's pretty much what you would expect. Dimmer value and shutter value. So that's pretty self-explanatory.